The thing that I've picked out for tonight's GatorUNbox is actually one of my recent thrift store finds, and I found it to be, I think it's pretty interesting. It's actually complete in its box, and for the price that I paid for it, that's a pretty damn good deal. It's something that I think I wish I had when I was younger, because I definitely would have gotten a lot of use out of it. And what this actually is the Dex Drive for the Nintendo 64. I paid $2 whole bucks for it, but this had been marked down to $4.99 from wherever that is from. That's a price tag that's stuck on top of one of those stickers that sets off those old style stickers that set off the beeper if you try to walk out of the store with it. I miss those things. I always thought they were cool. I remember one time I peeled one off and I didn't destroy it. And underneath it, it's like a pink and silver and like metallic blue, really cool like spiral pattern. I'm like, dude, that's fucking badass. Why don't they just flip that sticker over and put it on so you can see that part? That part's cool. And then I remembered, oh well, it's upside down for a reason. It's upside down so that hopefully would-be thieves won't notice that there's just like a white square just on the packaging or on the product they're going to try to steal, and that they'll just walk out of the store with it because they're stupid. This highly reflective box is really starting to piss off the camera. What this essentially is it's a little device down here, and we'll take it out in a second, but what this let you do is you could take your controller pack, your memory card, that was Nintendo's trademark thing for it, controller pack, PAK, from your Nintendo 64, you could plug it into this, and then this would interface with your computer, and you could make backup. You can make a backup of your save files. So, for example, I mean, certain games like Gauntlet Legends, took up however many blocks on the memory card. You could save only like one character. So, if you had a really good warrior that you like to play as, and then you decided, oh well, maybe you want to try the Valkyrie now, the only way to do that would be to delete your save file, or to have 2 memory cards, which was not very cost effective. So what this lets you do is you could plug your memory card in, you could make a copy of your warrior save file, keep that on your computer, and then delete it from your memory card, and then make a new character. And then if you want to go back and play as your old character, well then you plug it in, you swap the files around, bada bing, bada boom, you're good to go. I mean, if you look on the back, it says for use with Nintendo 64 compatible memory cards and multimedia PCs. It specifies compatible memory cards, because if you look down here at the sample photo, that is most certainly an aftermarket memory card. That's one of those. I shit you not. That's literally. I mean, that's the one. That's the one that's actually in my controller. It's the one that has the little dip switch here, so that when one, I guess it's like bank switching or something. Whenever one part of the memory fills up, you can switch it to 2 and then 3 and then 4, and it's basically like 4 memory cards in one, which also kind of would have helped, because then you wouldn't need the Dex Drive. You could have up to 4, using our Gauntlet Legends analogy, you could have, depending on what slot you put it on the memory card, you could save 4 characters on one memory card. But the Dex Drive, what was really the big draw here is that you could make backups of things like team rosters for like WrestleMania and the sports games that were out, like the football games, all of your custom characters that you made. You could save those, put them on your computer, and then you could also upload those onto the internet so that other people could download your save data, put it on their Nintendo 64, and play as your characters. Or if you did like your Diddy Kong Racing save file, I think that actually saved on the cartridge, so that's a bit of a bad example. But some of the racing games that saved to the controller pack, you could record your best times on your controller pack, save your ghost data, and see if other people could beat your best times. And it's that early online competitiveness. It's not quite online gaming, but you could download somebody's ghost data in a kart racer and see if that was and see if you could beat them. I'm just surprised it's still in its original box. Usually this is one of those things that like you lose the pieces to, you throw the box away. I mean, I think the bottom of the the bottom of the box even says it's recyclable. So they produced this without the intent for people to hang on to the box. So the fact that it's still here, that's... I mean, I don't like that the thrift shop I got it from has a nasty habit of just writing shit, the price on things with the Sharpie. I really wish they'd cut that out. If you've been watching this channel long enough, you know I kind of source things from some of the same thrift shops, and all the ones that have the price just scrawled on there, yeah, those all came from the same place. So... still, even inside its little plastic tray. So this is the Nintendo 64 Dex Drive, and what you get is you get all the stuff here, but there's also I believe the instruction manual featuring all the technical specifications. It's basically pretty simple. It plugs into the 9-pin connector on the back of your computer. And you install the drivers, you install the software, and presumably you're good to go. You just pop your memory card inside the thing, and you can start making backups of your stuff. This walks you through the software. Now, we're not going to be able to use the software because I wasn't able to get it working ahead of time. Plus, that would require messing around in a virtual machine to get it to work. But if we can get an autofocus on this... This is basically how you would transfer it from your hard drive, from the memory card onto your hard drive, and it's real bare bones. When you plug it in, it doesn't honestly looking. It's hard. This is really small text, but you kind of have to know what that stands for. I mean, Milo down here. This is obviously Milo's Astro Lanes, but Warzone's pretty self-explanatory. Wipeout 64, but you know, GV, GV, GE, GE, WR, WR, RC, RC. Those are a little more pragmatic. I guess if this was your memory card, you would probably be able to figure out through process of elimination which was which. But just looking at the sample thing, I mean, it really is just pulling like raw data from the controller pack and just spitting it out onto the screen. The software you get comes on 2 floppy disks because this was manufactured in '98, so you either had Windows 95 or you had Windows 98 on your computer. This is time before XP. It's the wild, wild west of computing. This one of them is the drivers, and one of them is the rest is the actual software that you use to transfer your stuff back and forth. But it fit on 2 regular high-density floppy disks back in the day. That's crazy. That you have something that manages to a whole program plus the drivers to facilitate taking something off of a memory card from a video game console and backing it up onto your computer, and they did it in 3 megabytes. Like, that blows my fucking mind. How'd you do that? Like, these days it would come on a goddamn DVD and it'd be tons of... I guess that's all the bloatware. I was just about to make a joke about that. It'd be like, do you want to install the Ask.com toolbar? And you say, no. Ain't nobody asked Jeeves any fucking questions since this was manufactured. Nobody cares. So we got we got the Dex Drive right here. And you can see it's got a little door for... I mean... If my Nintendo 64 wasn't already on in anticipation of tonight's... You know what? Fuck it. I'll just turn it off. What's the worst that could possibly happen? We switch over to the thing and it doesn't work. So, alright. You got the Dex Drive right here, and you notice it's got the same little curve as the back of the controller. This Performance Memory Card Plus does not have the little trademark Nintendo curve, but it is the same shape as the memory card. So you would stick it in, you'd just click it down, and it's in there good and nice. This part screws into the 9-pin terminal on the back of your computer. No pass-through. This would just occupy that slot until you unplugged it and replaced it with something else. But you may have also noticed that this device does not receive its power from the 9-pin slot. It actually does come with its own AC adapter power supply. So if you flip it around to the side over here, you just plug that into the side. That obviously goes into the wall. that goes into the computer, and you install the drivers. You can start making backups of what's on your memory card, and more importantly, you can download other people's game save files and put them on your memory card, so that when you pop it out and stick this back in your controller, you can play somebody else's character. Like I said, there are rosters on like NFL Blitz or whatever it is, and I think something like this is actually pretty damn cool. It was really ahead of its time because I mean, the file sizes obviously can't be that big, but in terms of like sharing files on the internet, I mean, the box mentions like emailing them to your friends and going to news groups to get Dex Drive files. I would imagine the Dex Drive does write things in its own. It like copies it in its own proprietary format from the memory card, and then it translates it back into the whatever the Nintendo can read when it puts it back on the thing. Basically, probably as a form of compression to kind of save on space. I remember Nintendo 64 games would say, "Oh, this takes up 64 blocks of memory." I don't know what that means in terms of kilobytes. Is one block 1 kilobyte? I have no friggin' clue. So they probably have some type of compression going on here that just tries to keep the file size down so that you could feasibly actually include these as email attachments that totally wouldn't set off somebody's McAfee virus scanner circa 1998, sending them a .n64 or .gme file or whatever it was that these things get saved as. It's like, whoa, we don't recognize that file type. What the fuck is that? But that's really, I mean, it really is. It's a solidly built little device. I mean, it doesn't look cheap. It doesn't feel cheap. It's got these little rubber feet so that when you stick it on the table, it'll just stay there. Like it doesn't really want to move if you push on it pretty hard. So I think the build quality is fantastic. This was back when like third party. I mean, you had Mad Catz. Mad Catz was always the dark horse, but this was back when like third party tools were still pretty fucking awesome. I think Pelican also made some pretty interesting things. It was either Interact. It was either these guys or Pelican. Around the same time that this came out, there was another device almost identical to this, except rather than using the 9-pin. It uses the printer or the serial I/O port, and instead of plugging in a Nintendo 64 memory card, you could plug in your Game Boy camera and back up all of your photos from your Game Boy camera onto your computer as tiny little like 50 by 50 pixel bitmap images, 4-color bitmap images. And that was fucking wild. I never had one of those when I was a kid, but I wanted one so badly. Fuck, I still want one. I still want to be able to plug in my Game Boy camera and just pull the pictures off, because that's like the coolest form of photography. It's not even photography, it's funtography. That's what Nintendo used to say. They fucking trademarked that, and then they registered the domain and they kept it until they just got tired of it, and now it's owned by somebody else. But that was even cooler. So this was from an era where just because it was a third-party thing didn't necessarily mean it was automatically crap. I mean, just looking at the craftsmanship of this is a little door that pushes down, but there's also a flap on the front so that dust doesn't just get in even when the little door is up. Like, fuck, the back of the controller, like, they didn't even do that on the back of the controller. That's just straight up a bare-ass contact on the back of that thing. I mean, there was some care taken to the design of this, and I really appreciate that. And like I said, this is something I wish I had when I was younger, because I would have used the hell out of this. This would have been so much fun, trading, I don't know, Pokemon Snap pictures back and forth and printing them at Blockbuster and, you know, doing Mario Kart stuff, saving people's ghost times and all that. So that's the Dex Drive, and it also came with, well, it came with 2 other things underneath it. Actually came with 3 other things. It came with something about the FCC talking about signal interference, and if this thing fucks up, well then that's not our problem. There's the product registration card. You get entered into their monthly drawing for a free Interact product. How about that? But also inside here is a slightly fucked up catalog for Eidos games, and that's actually not the front of the the thing. That's just, this is an advertisement on the back. So you got Ninja, Shadow of Darkness. That game's fucking impossible. Tomb Raider 3, Omicron, the Nomad Soul. I don't even think that was released. And then Fighting Force 64, which there's a whole story behind that game, how it was supposed to be some other game, and then it wasn't, and then it became Fighting Force. And then there's a sequel on the Dreamcast that nobody likes. I think that's a story. That's a story for another day. Anyways, Interact. This was, you know, there. Oh my God, there's so many things in here that I recognize. This thing right down here, the Ultra Racer, for it's actually for N64 and the PlayStation. But this little thing right here. This is what I need to play. This is what I was originally going to play Super Off-Road with during our Extra Life Marathon in 2019, where I had the big honkin' steering wheel controller. That was funnier. But I actually own one of these, and this is the controller I wanted to use for Super Off-Road. I just couldn't find it, so instead I wound up using something that looked more like this. Interact, this was when they bought the Game Shark company. Game Shark used to be their own thing, and then Interact basically bought them out. Kind of like how Game Genie was produced, I believe, by Camerica, and then distributed by Galoob Toys, because that was their way of getting around something, or maybe Galoob already had the penetration in the market to get things on like store shelves. Whatever it was, there's a reason for that, and I don't know what it is. So they own Game Shark, and then in here now they've got all these different controllers for all these different systems. You've got the Barracuda for the PlayStation, the Shark Pad Pro for 64. Now I actually have one of these. And these were notoriously fucking terrible. The analog stick, absolutely solid. I love the analog stick on the Shark Pad. But that fucking Z button, I clicked it like twice. I think the first time I used it to play GoldenEye, which was like the first time I ever used it, the Z button broke. Like it just got depressed in, and like the rubber pad either slipped or the hinge fucked up, and now the button is just like permanently depressed, and it's completely shot. If you read product reviews of this from the era, that's all people say. They say, wow, this is a pretty okay controller, but man, that Z button is a pile of shit. Thanks, Interact. Apparently they named everything after sharks, because they bought the Game Shark company, and they were like, yeah, this was clearly this was the brand that had the star power. Nobody knew who the hell Interact was. They just made controllers and crap. But Game Shark, fuck yeah, you know what Game Shark is. That's why this is the Shark Pad, this is the Barracuda, this is the Mako Pad for the N64, also for PC. This is the Piranha Pad. All these fish names, and then you got the Program Pad up here. You almost had a good thing going. And also Rocker right there in chat. Yeah, they just go into the controller and they get stuck talking about the Z button for the Shark. So yeah, he used one too. They're pieces of shit. It wasn't just mine. That was just a piece of junk. That's what they did. And then down here, they really just made a lot of controllers. But there's the Dex Drive right there, sticking out like a sore thumb. Looks like a stair stepper. In between the FX racing wheel, a big racing wheel, something that kind of looked like an Xbox controller at first. That's the Barracuda 2. In case they still let in with the original Barracuda, which looks like a boomerang, but a page later, they made something that looks very much like it should be infringing on somebody's copyright. And yeah, you notice that some of the stuff over here is also co-branded as Performance. Like I said, that was the memory card that they have photographed in the back of the Dex Drive. They owned all these little brands, but nobody really knew who any of these companies were, but except for Game Shark, that's why they kept all those names. Super Pad 64, going back to the Super Pad 64, look at that. That one right there. Right there. That blue one, that's the one I had. That's the piece of shit that I have, with the red Z button on the back that just fucked up. Piece of crap. They never steered me wrong with any of their memory card options on offer. This thing right here, this one right here for the PS1, every time we're playing a PS1 game on this stream, I'm actually using this exact memory card. That's what I've always used. They were slightly cheaper than the official Sony ones, and now that we're 20 plus years out from the release of the PS1, when it comes down to the memory cards that have died, that have had to replace the batteries in, whose data's been lost, these ones have hung on. They've hung on the longest. I know eventually they're gonna die and I'm gonna have to swap the batteries out, but those ones, pretty good. Whatever cheap Chinese lithium batteries they put in those, they got a good batch. They also had, oh, look at this, peripherals for the Game Boy Pocket. Hang on, is that the Game Boy Pocket? Okay, that's just the ice blue Game Boy Pocket. I was like, I had to focus way in, because I was like, did these sneaky sons of bitches put their thing on a Game Boy Light and then take pictures of it? I'm like, what the hell is this? But yeah, no, I had some of these things, namely this thing right here, the Power Pack, that kind of doubled as a grip. Basically, it's had this thing with these two weird nubs that look like they don't fit inside the back of a Game Boy Color, but they do. And this is just a rechargeable battery pack, and the battery pack is down here in this big thing, and the button on the side, when you click it, this little LCD turns on, and it tells you how much juice is left in it, so you can know if you're getting close to charging it up. Or you could wait for the little red light on the little red power light on the Game Boy Color to start to flicker. You know, it's one or the other. It's just one of those needless little things, those little needless touches that just really kind of seal the deal. And then you had the Pocket Protector, which appears to be a very early iteration of what is known today as the OtterBox for your iPhone. Never had one of those. This Pulse Pack is apparently a rumble device for the Game Boy Pocket that also extends the speaker from here to way down here. I don't know why you need to do that. It basically turns your Game Boy Pocket into something the size of a fucking checkbook, so good job on that. And then we gotta address the elephant in the room down here. Oh my god. It's the Handy Pack 2, by the way. Handy Pack! They named that Handy as if it's fucking convenient. You turned the Game Boy into Voltron. This is like a home theater system for your Game Boy Pocket, registered trademark. Bigger sound, bigger screen, bigger buttons, and an easy-to-control thumbstick. We put some lights in, too. This way you can actually play in the dark. All these big features, but your Game Boy Pocket is still quite small and portable. With this, I mean, I know this shit folds up and, you know, folds in, but when all's said and done, this probably folds down into something about the size of the original Game Boy, which was portable if you were still wearing cargo shorts. So, I mean, nice one. This is an interesting little thing here. This is from Interact, but this looks like a scaled down version of something that you would see in like a parenting magazine. Because this advertisement is totally different from the pages upon pages of controllers and crap, because this is like Good Housekeeping back when... I don't even know if that stamp ever meant anything. They put this on everything. They put it on trash cans, they put it on vacuum cleaner bags, they put it on lawn chairs. Like, who the fuck cares? Good Housekeeping, what the hell does that mean? I think it's a magazine. Limited warranty to consumers, replacement or refund if defective. Good Housekeeping promises. So, essentially, I guess that was just a type of, like, that was just a, I don't know. It's like a little guarantee that they put on their product that doesn't mean anything. It's like the little CE logo that means it passed an electrical inspection. Speaking of electrical inspections, we got a junior electrician right here about to put a paperclip inside this fucking 6-way plug outlet thing. And might I point out, you would think this would just be something staged for the photo, but judging by these lights over here, unless that's... I mean, I'm hoping that's like Photoshop, like they just spliced two pictures together, because I was about to say, minutes after this was taken, that kid got blown the fuck up. It's like that scene from Jurassic Park, where, what's his face, Tim, is trying to climb down the fence, and then Laura Dern turns the fence back on and blows him to Kingdom fucking Come. That's basically what's about to happen. Yeah, okay, so, yeah, never mind. The kid's not about to die. The plug socket's actually closed, which this is one of those things where when you plug in... No, there's not a ground on this. Basically, you plug something in, and then you turn it, and then it clicks in. But I think it's because it uses the ground that usually is here, and since that pokes in farther, that unlocks it, and you can turn it. Something like that. Then we got some Jensen speakers, and we got... Holy shit, I had this exact microphone when I was a kid, man. I used to call it my Bob Barker microphone, because it was like really tall and slender, and it's like the one that Bob Barker had on The Price is Right. You know, he just hangs on to it, and he's gets ready to do the showcase showdown. These are apparently also speakers, but this one gets a weird comic book villain advertising it. It comes with it's a surround sound system for your gaming system. You got the AV390PL and then the AV190. One thing I learned about all this is that the more numbers and letters you got after the name, the better it is. That's the one you want. And then finally, on the last page, maybe... Oh my god. This Jensen stuff, not okay. Buy any Jensen multimedia speakers and receive a multimedia microphone, i.e. this, for free. $10 value. Maybe that's why I saw so many of these at thrift stores, which is where I found mine. But I gotta find it because I know I've got one of these too. These things right here with the little clip. On the back of this, it's like a little shield mic, and you could clip it on like your pocket, like a really shitty lapel mic. And even then, it didn't work very well. Or the little clip right here usually had a piece of double-sided tape on the back, so you could peel it off and like stick it on the corner of your monitor, and then clip it into that clip so that you could talk for like shitty 90s, late 90s video conferencing. That's what you could use it for. I had both of those microphones. That's incredible. And then down here, you get, this is all basically a mail-in rebate card, which is weird because there's nothing to fill out, but this is clearly perforated, so you can tear the page out, but I don't understand how you would... I guess you would just rip this page out and send it with the receipt or something. I have no idea. But this offer expired June 30th, 1999, so looks like we're a little bit late to that party. But oh, Rocker, everyone had that microphone because it came with every Packard Bell. So, oh, maybe that's why they were so pervasive. Jensen, they just had their fingers in a lot of pots. I'm sure if I looked hard enough, I could probably find that exact microphone and just show it on stream someday. I know I still have it. I didn't get rid of it. The only way I would have gotten rid of it is if it was with my computer parts, that box of stuff that I had to throw away after Harvey, but that was mostly like hard drives and old video cards and shit. I don't think I kept microphones in there. So I probably still have the microphone. Anyways, that's the N64 Dex Drive and all of the contents you get from the box. Like I said, this was definitely something pretty useful. If you were really into gaming at the time, I mean, this was really ahead of its time. Being able to trade your game save files online, being able to save your characters, and even if you don't even use the online aspect, like I said with that Gauntlet Legends analogy, you could save one character, back it up to your computer, delete it off your card, start a new save file, without worrying about losing the progress you made on the warrior you were so proud of, or whatever it was. But then again, like I also said, you could just, you know, get a memory card that had these little bank switch things on it and kind of do that. But then you couldn't upload that to your computer without one of these. So the Dex Drive still served the purpose. And I just wish I had one when I was younger. I wish this is one of those things that I'm sure there was not a big community built around it, but there was probably a niche one, and I feel like I missed out on that. I wish this was something I could have gotten to experience when it was relevant and new. I'm sure people still use this, actually. You could, theoretically, I mean, nothing's stopping you from trading game save files with your N64. I can't think of anything else that's come out that does what this does in the modern day, compatible with, like, you know, Windows 7 or Windows 10 or something like that. So there might actually still be a dedicated community of people who still use the Dex Drive to make backups of their actual save game files, and that's really cool to me. It's really cool to me. So I paid $2 for it. I might fool around with it later, I'm not sure, but this is mostly just something I got for my collection as a little bit of a novelty thing, kind of a conversation piece. Maybe I'll keep it on the shelf with or without a memory card in it. Probably without, because that's how you wear out the pins on these types of things. But I don't know. It's just something that looks pretty neat. Almost looks like a thing for not developing, but for scanning like film slides. I don't know. But that's the Interact Dex Drive. Like I said, sight unseen, I think it seems like a pretty useful thing. I don't know if this one in particular works, but considering that the previous owner took such good care of it, chances are it'll probably work like a charm the second I fire it up. Hey, thanks for checking out GatorBox on YouTube. We really appreciate it. If you like what you saw and you want to kick around with us live, follow us on Twitch because we do this several times during the week. And if you want to support this channel, you can do so by subscribing right here on YouTube, following or subscribing over on Twitch, or even making a pledge on Patreon. Your support over the years has been tremendous. Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video right here on GatorBox.